Hey there, DBI. It's Riz here, and today we're going to do two roleplay reviews for, I think it's right here, Yet Another Reunion, and then over here, right there, Reaching Out. Sorry that it took me so long to get these reviews going for you guys. I've been a little bit busy, been giving my abandoned Twitch stream some love the last couple of nights, but I did want to get these out and get these done, just so you guys can have some reviews. And I wanted to do them together because they kind of both do the same things. I would say that these are like breathe space logs. Normally something that wouldn't really warrant a video review. I was kind of reading through them, trying to see like, what can I actually talk about in each one of these to give like somebody who isn't involved with these logs and isn't involved with these and it wasn't in these role plays, like give them like a essence of what's really going on, what's the greater story being told here. But really they're just breathe space logs. Yet Another Reunion has pretty much everybody in the main cast: Saliath, Jean, Ariel, Hypo, and Cordio. And then Reaching Out is just Saliath and Jean. And to kind of summarize the both of them, and Yet Another Reunion, this immediately follows the fight with Fusen. Jean is in a really bad way and she needs to have medical attention, and Hypo and Cordio have this conversation where they believe the best thing for her is to be on Earth. And this is kind of where like I was digging deep to kind of like pull stuff to talk about. And I have to say, like, with this decision, because while they're like on Vegeta, where this battle took place, the decision to take her to Earth was Hypo's, because he said, well, what is affecting her mind? And while, like Namek may have healers, Vegeta may have shaman-like healers, there may be people who can heal her body here. Can they help her in the mind? And he specifically says when he went to Earth to get fixed up after his fight with Nova, that was one of the things that they did. They give him like, kind of mental and psyche training, or evaluation, should I say, rather than training, to kind of make sure that he was doing all right. And he wants to do the same thing for Jean. And that's why she gets to Earth. And really, I mean, I think this is just because I think Jean wants to be part of the Pepper City conflict. So, she needs to be on Earth to take part of that. And, there's that. Or I could be wrong. Maybe she heals up on Earth, jump ship back to Vegeta. But the one thing that I would have said here is that if that was not the case, if we did not want to just have Jean be on Earth for the Pepper City War, I think it would have been a really cool idea. Or I guess this would be like my hindsight 2020, because I was thinking about this literally just this morning. It would have been a very cool idea to have Jean stay on Vegeta, and have her meet with the Kinshiki and see if there was a way that they could have, healed her mind. Not that we actually really know if there's anything wrong with her subconscious. I think this is just kind of an inference that Hypo is making. And he says, mental trauma that he had. Sorry, it wasn't from the fight with Nova, it was the fight with Minoko. But, he needed to have this mental trauma kind of thing. And I think that would have been a cool idea to have her do the same thing. But overall, they decide that the best thing for her is for her to return to Earth. So they call up Saliath. And Saliath is, kind of chilling, kind of living as big boss, and gets the call, pretty much like, clear my schedule, get a jet ready, I'm on my way. And while he's on his way, Ariel happens to be just like walking next to him, so he just grabs Ariel, they get on a shuttle, and boom, they're off for Vegeta. Now, I will say, do I love the fact that we left Earth, went to Vegeta, and made it back all in the same log? I don't love that idea. It kind of makes space travel a little trivial. And in this instance, it's perfectly fine. I mean, it's fine if you guys do that. I just think that if we're gonna give it any sort of like meaning to have space travel, if not, we're just gonna have everybody just teleporting around, being like, it doesn't matter if you're on a ship. It's like I'm here one day, I'm there like the very next, log or post. So I don't mind that. I would have liked to have some expansion on the explanation of how it can get so quickly. Because I know this is like a ship and an engine that Saliath himself made. And, that was kind of one of my ideas for New Heroes was like, hey, Saliath, you've got to make a ship that can get to Vegeta. I was going to say 7 days. Because I think, at least in my hand canon, it's like a month or two, like by normal space travel means to get between planets. But yeah, in this instance, it's fine. I mean, it serves the purpose of them getting to Vegeta to pick up Gene and meet with Cordio and Hypo. And that's what really happens. So the two of them meet up with the three of them. And what's also kind of cute that everybody kind of picked up on is that as soon as they arrive, everybody kind of notices that Ariel's energy signature is a little bit stronger, that, Ariel teared up. And everybody mentions it. And I don't know if it was something that everybody kind of discussed previously, but it's something that I definitely noticed. And I thought, that was a little cute. Everybody kind of giving Ariel her flowers. And Ariel herself kind of stole the show when they arrived because they're like, oh, yeah, what's the gravity like on Vegeta? And Saliath's like, yeah, it's pretty strong. He's like, I'll be fine. And then as soon as they get hit with it, it was like, oh! Like they had to actually put some effort and some strain in. But, they meet up with everybody. They kind of have their highs and their re-greeting. This is actually the first time that Cordio and Saliath meet. I thought it was the log previous where they met outside the hospital, but no, it's actually this log, which is the first time that they meet. And they then take Gene back to Earth, and on the way back, they do, Ariel starts to do their Kaio Ki heal. It seems like it's like they sacrifice part of their RP health to raise somebody else's. So it's kind of like a RP health osmosis, right? Going to the water's gonna flow to where there's the biggest amount of space for it to go, and that's kind of like what it kind of read like. And in this, I feel like in this entire log, the biggest piece to discuss, I feel like happens between Gene and Hypo. And follow me on this journey, if you will, because as a person who's just reading this log as its own chapter, as its own page, this is what I inferred from it, right? Gene is unconscious and also doing... Gene's unconscious, doesn't talk, but is doing like really good like emoting to things while their body is unconscious. Because when Hypo says like, hey, Cordio, you go with Saliath and Ariel and Gene back to Earth, I've got to stay here. Gene twitches a little bit. Like her body kind of reacts in hearing that he's not going to be coming with her. And to me, I feel like that could be an avenue of some great drama later. And it's mostly because it's like what I said before, probably in my last review, that Cordio is really Gene's caretaker. Cordio is really Gene's, I won't say teacher, but he has been teaching her a lot of stuff. I think from what I've seen on page, he's spent the most time kind of training her. And it's kind of like her guardian. And you guys have got to understand that like, Gene's still 15, right? She's not a legal adult. She went through hell and mental hell and abuse through her parents. And she found this family to take care of her and, to love her and everything. And she definitely responded when Hypo wasn't going to show up. Wasn't going to be there with her when she's like half dead. And I feel like that could cause some heavy resentment from the character, right? and you have to, like, I'm putting myself in the mentality of a teenager. This teenager almost died and needs to be looked after, needs to have somebody care for her, even though she's really strong on her own, right? Like, you got somebody who can lift cars and, blow up buildings and things like that. She's still going to have the mentality of a 15-year-old. Like, I don't know. You guys are a lot younger than me. I don't know if you guys can, like, remember what you were like at 15, 16, 17, even 18. Like, I didn't get out of my shit phase until I was in my, like, early 20s. This would have really kind of irked me if I needed to go to the hospital, if I needed to stay in the hospital and, like, my parents didn't want to come. Like, I don't care what it would have been, right? This would have, personally, I would have not have flown, right? And it's funny because I can't give Hypo any shit about the fight previous to this because, like, the person Saru is both Hypo and Fusen. So I can't give him any shit for that, for not being there to protect Jean when she gets attacked by this psycho. But it's like Cordio was there, right? Hypo, I don't know where you were, but Cordio was there, right? And I'm speaking as, like, from her point of view. And it's like, now I need to be taken across the universe to get some help. And Cordio is there, and where are you? Like, and I understand he wants to stay on, he wanted to stay on Vegeta because the Empire was there, because he wanted to have his moment with Ymir. And I do think that there are other ways we could have done that with it just happening on Earth, especially with the Pepper City kind of conflict kind of brewing. I mean, Ymir could have showed up there and Hypo could have had everything there, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, it's just the fact that Hypo felt like he needed to stay, right? And the only other thing I would really kind of question, which I guess I won't really question it, it just kind of didn't make sense, and I hate to even bring it up because it involves Nova, my character, but Hypo here in this log knows that Nova is on the planet because these guys have explained that they ran into somebody. I don't remember which log it was that they specifically say, like, hey, we fought this girl named Nova, but he knows that she's on planet. He is going to stay on planet because the Empire's there, so why didn't he go seek her out, right? That's my only question, is, like, if all of your allies are leaving, why didn't you go find the other ally that is on the planet here to then be like, hey, like, we can do this together? But that's just my question for it. And I really do wonder if this is going to cause some issues, because in the next log with Jean and Saliath and reaching out, like, I feel like it's coming back, like that sense of abandonment. And I don't know if this was intentional or not. I feel like that's coming out. But the other thing I did want to mention is that, this is also the first meeting of Jean and Ariel. And, Jean's starting to slowly wake up. She meets Ariel. She talks with her. And she says that, like, hey, like, I've heard a lot about you. I heard that, you and I could possibly be great friends. Kind of like this, you're a young woman. I'm a young woman. There's a whole bunch of dudes out here. Like, let's be bros, right? Let's kind of, I don't want to say F the patriarchy, but they kind of had, like, this womanly bond that happened. And that's, again, that's pretty much it. That is the log. There's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of dialogue that happens between characters. But for the meat and potatoes of it, that was really it. And then, like, directly after that, after yet another reunion, we get Reaching Out. And Reaching Out is just Saliath and Jean, kind of a short log. But they're in the Pepper City Hospital. And Saliath just kind of, wants to go check up on Jean, make sure she's doing all right. And they just have a very subtle conversation. It's their first meeting, so, Jean tells Saliath all about her past. He kind of tells her about his. And the thing with this log, and the reason that I wanted to bring it up, is that there is a part of Jean at the very end where I feel there is, like, character regression, and I think it, again, spawned from the previous log, to where she's talking, she's explaining herself to Saliath of like, this is my situation, this is where I'm at. Like she straight up says like, don't mess with my dad. He's kind of in like the same kind of field. She explains how she, you know, was taken out of the Hydia institution in the Imperial base there, explains the whole situation. And Saliath is just kind of like, damn, girl, like that's messed up. And, you know, just reaches out a hand. It's like, hey, if you ever need any help, like just ask, right? And I feel like for Saliath's point of view, it's because he just kind of went through a similar revelation with his whole stint on the tower of like, he kind of saw what he could become, and she's kind of seeing what she can become. And he's like, you know, we're both of Saiyan lineage of some sort. I'm full blood, you're half, but we're both on this journey together. So, you know, I'll be your big brother if you need me to. If you ever need any help, just ask. And then this is where I feel like Jean kind of regresses, because she was getting all of this like, I'm Jean the survivor, I'm good, I can do this, I'm strong. And then she kind of breaks down, and she says that, you know, not a single time has she uttered the words, please help me. And at first I really didn't like that she had that sort of character regression for how hard she broke down. I mean, it even catches Saliath off guard with how she like is just crying and emotionally broken at this moment. Because everything else was like her building up this strength and her building up this self-confidence and her leaning on her family and knowing that, you know, like there are people who care for her, there are people who love her, there are people who have been helping her, but this is the first time that she's ever openly asked for it. So after I kind of like mulled on it and thought about it and was like, okay, where could the character be coming from? I can see where she's gaining strength and the ability to ask for help. And so I understand that. But what really hits home with me, and again, I don't know if this is how it was written, how this was intended, is that Jean just felt abandoned by Hypo, right? And doesn't know how to process that feeling. And so she's like, okay, so like help me in the way that I wish this person would have. And you know, this doesn't have to be a Jean and Hypo are now going to be enemies or rivals or anything like that. I do feel like there should be like a little bit of tension. And I feel like tension between common heroes is absolutely fine, right? Like not everybody, just because they're on the same side of righteousness, has to agree with everything. And sometimes you just don't like people, right? Or sometimes somebody says something you don't like, and the only way for you to kind of handle it is to come to blows. Like you're not trying to kill each other, but you also need to get that frustration out. And again, she is a teenage Saiyan girl. So I don't know, I just feel like that like emotional barrier coming down and her kind of breaking down like that was just a little off. But at the same time, you know, it could lead to a greater strength. She might be telling the writer, Hiazi, I think that's how you say it, might be leading up for something else, right? And again, this was just a breathe space log or a couple logs where, you know, we just had to get from point A to point B. Not a lot of major points happen, but a lot of major inferences, right? There's definitely a story being told here. You guys definitely, you know, are thinking in the present, definitely thinking in the present, and definitely, you know, being present with your characters. That's what I was trying to say. You guys are definitely being present with your characters. I feel like, you know, when you guys are role playing now with these guys, you're feeling more of how this character feels. You're understanding a mindset and a mentality, and these personas and personalities are really starting to shine through to where I don't know, like I at this moment I would like to see some people's like alts and see how they would change a little bit, kind of like the difference between, you know, Craft, Fusion, and Hypo. three very different characters, but Seru has like a command over each one. But it doesn't have to be. I mean, don't. I'm have alt-itis. I will make new characters just for 2 role plays, and then you'll never see them again. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have anything really else to add. So, good job, guys. Sorry that the review took so long, and I will see you guys next time.